So, Dad, here we are. We're starting our first podcast. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to our very first podcast called The Songs My Father Wrote. I'm Alicia Nardo, and this is my father, Bob Bagdon. Bob is a lifelong writer, storyteller, and lyricist who has, for the last 4 decades, been turning his writing and stories into song lyrics. Today, we begin a deeply personal journey, revisiting the music, the memories, and the stories behind these songs, and sharing why now, after all this time, they are finally coming to light. So, Dad, thank you. That was my script, everybody. I'm new to this. So, Dad, thank you for doing this with me. I'm so excited to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure. New to me too. So,
I know, and we'll get to that a little bit more. So, let's just start from the beginning. When did you start writing?
uh, it's been a long time, sweetheart. Probably over 70 years ago.
And you're an only child.
Yes. I started writing primarily to express my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a super day or a bad day, and I'd go home, I'd often be alone. Both of my parents worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd sit down and I'd scratch out some notes, what I really liked about what happened well and
Mm-hmm.
what really hurt if it was a bad day. And I never threw those notes away. I stick them in a folder at first, and then a drawer, and then
Mm-hmm.
a desk as the years went on. And I did that forever. It became a habit as I got older and got married, and I got into situations where I'd have to travel and be alone. I started writing again. So I've been doing this pretty much all of my life.
I remember when I was a teenager and you started with a guitar, and I remember these words starting to come out. For us it was a really big change because I've always known that you've been incredibly deep. But in a family structure, as most people know, growing up in family life, sometimes you have your ups and your downs. And so I was always witness to what was happening outside, but I also knew that you were very deep and always wondered what is going on in there. And so now for me to start hearing a lot of this writing is just an incredible experience. So you started writing because you were an only child and you just were alone a lot and you didn't really have anybody to bounce your thoughts and your feelings and your ideas off of. And
Right.
you found pen and paper to be kind of a good way for you to channel that.
Absolutely.
Did you ever share your early writings with people, or is this stuff that you've been keeping secret for a really long time?
Well, I'm an old man. I'm not 80 yet, but I will be next birthday. In my very early days, I just pretty much kept everything myself. I started to share music when I was in my teens and early 20s. I had just been married with mom, but we had a close family, an extended family, the Bagdons. We had a musical side, my mother's side of the family, and we would always have gatherings back then. We didn't have the luxuries that we have today.
Yeah.
And many of those gatherings ended up with my Uncle Lou playing the guitar and everybody playing whatever they could get their hands on. In fact, one of the words to a song that I wrote is I Should Have Been a Country Star. I had myself playing the spoons listening to Uncle Lou. So yeah, I've been sharing the music in and out. If it became advantageous to use some of the words, I would. And different portions of my life, I became very involved with some naturalists, ancient forest people.
Mhm.
I'm really in tune with the land. I always have been. And I got in tune in the 90s and early 2000s, as you know, with Native Americans around the country.
Before you go a little too far, I want to go back to the early days because I remember Nana Bagdon's house, and the weekends were always all the cousins would get together and the highballs would start rolling early. And this is when I learned that alcohol and music combined was the best time ever. That's because we experienced that. Everybody would just let loose, have a really good time, and let their souls out. And we would laugh and sing, and it just never ended. And I miss those days tremendously. So then fast forward to the Native Americans. I remember this time too, because our family thought you fell off your rocker, but I knew because I was always into alternative healing and energy work and all of that kind of stuff. I knew what you were doing, and I thought that was really cool. And I remember that was the time in our life that we really started to bond. What's interesting and what people don't really know is my nickname is Bob's daughter Bob. I'm truly your daughter with just enough of mom and me to keep me sane. Or actually keep me on a straight and narrow. Let's just put it that way. And I remember that time, and I remember being so fascinated by what you were learning and what you were teaching. So at that time, you started picking up a guitar, and you started building a recording studio in our basement. So tell me a little bit about that, and then the words that you were writing around that.
That story could go through 3 or 4 episodes, but
It will. It
the
ultimately
elevator
will.
speech is, I call those my bad years, to be honest with you. I was traveling a lot for work. I'd leave home every Monday and not come back till Friday night. And if I did come back on Friday night, often I would stay. I was coming down here to Florida from up in New England. Occasionally, mom would come down, and occasionally you would come down with mom for a weekend, or once in a while I'd fly back home. But it was a sad time for me because I was alone a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Honestly, I went to sleep one night. I woke up and I had this vivid dream. It was a Native American scene. I got up. I wrote, as I go back to my pen and paper, I wrote a story in just 15 or 20 minutes. That story became a song that evening. I went out that next morning, bought a guitar, and put it to music. That happened over several weeks with several songs, and I was afraid to speak those songs because they address Native American medicine and happenings, and I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth because I wasn't sure of them. As fate has it, I was on a business trip to San Diego, California, sitting at a bar, and the guy came in, sat beside me. He was definitely a native. We shook hands. He introduced himself as Bud Tackett. God bless you. He's passed now.
I remember him.
And Bud said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Marlborough, Massachusetts." And he said, "Oh, I'm from Fitchburg." Turns out he was the head of the Native American Society in New England. He knew everybody. I told him about what I was doing. He said, "Give me those songs." I gave them to him. He said, "I'm going to give them to a lady in Fitchburg, very powerful lady." Long story short, she was the medicine lady for most of the Native American women, had just spoken to the plenary session of the United Nations on Indigenous women's rights. She looked at the songs, called me and said, "Get your Fanny out to my house." She said, "You're not writing those songs. Somebody's channeling them through you because everything you're writing is 100% accurate." I get goosebumps today on there when I tell this story because it's absolutely true. I continued to write many songs for Native Americans and got connected deeply to Native American tribes. I got involved with some of the AIM people at that stage of life. I wrote a song for Leonard Peltier, who was just released finally from prison this February. And God bless, most of those people now have all passed, but it was an experience that I'll never forget. And it brought me so close to the earth. I was already connected, but the purity of those people, that medicine, it will never leave me. And I hope that some of my songs, it's one of the reasons why I want to do what I'm doing right now, to get these songs out. People can listen, they don't have to listen. But I think we've stepped way beyond those values and understanding our mother, the earth, understanding creator, understanding some practical sides of life. So I'd love to see this before it's my turn to take the dirt ride.
Yeah.
So.
Well, And I think that's really important too. The Native American section of your life is going to be something that we explored throughout the course of this podcast. Let's talk about what's happened recently to you. So, you've been writing on pen and paper for all of this time, and then you became computer literate like the rest of us, and you started putting these into the computer. And then most recently, I know you and Mom support the Songwriters Conference in Florida every single year, and that just happened. And you were exposed to something new. Tell me about that.
This festival is 7 or 8 years old now. It started out with half a dozen songwriters from Nashville that were friends of a local banker who had come here from Nashville, Gary Lubai. Every year it's grown. This past year there were 45 songwriters representing over 150 number one songs. So it's become a pretty powerful event.
Mm-hmm.
People are coming from all over the country to the songwriters. And we met a really beautiful young lady this year, Michelle Lee, who is in herself a songwriter and on a path of getting going. I talked with Michelle. We shared a couple of songs together, and she said, Bob, you need to get in tune with the social networking world, the
Social media.
technology world, and start getting your songs out through that media. And I said, this is my yellow paper and my pencil and my social media. Been involved with Facebook on and off for years, but I got hacked, so I got off it for 10 years. I just started it back again because of Michelle. But she introduced me to a site called Suno. Suno is an AI site, and that is both a blessing and a curse to someone like myself. Because if you want to write a song today about your is that red and black, honey? Yeah, red and
Yeah.
black dress.
Little lips.
You could go into Suno and say, write a song about my red and black dress, and it will. And it might be a damn good song. That's artificial intelligence. But Suno also offers someone like myself the ability to go in. It offers me a full music studio. I can put 13 tracks down, and from the bass line, the drums, the chords, the instrumentation, the kind of vocals, male, female, duet, orchestra, choir, whatever you want, and you can upload all your own words. And for $200 a year, whatever it is, it's very reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
You have a music studio, and it's user friendly. I can go in and make these things work. So I took a couple of my songs, copied the words from the laptop, and last 30 years I've been putting them on laptop, not paper, and uploaded them to Suno. Gave Suno all the instructions, went in on the chord structure, went in on everything else,
Mm-hmm.
and I was blown away with some of the stuff that was coming out. Now I'll go through 30 or 40 tests for each song, but it allows me then to have a product that is what I want people to hear.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about the message, really, but my message needs a vehicle, a mechanism to get out there. So.
Yeah. And I will tell you, so I'll never forget the first text. And this was only like 3 or 4 weeks ago. This wasn't, this is very recent. And you sent us one of the first songs that you wrote. And I listened to it and I was like, that cannot be true. That is just incredible. And then I didn't think much of it because I thought it was like just a one-time thing. And then I'd get another one, and I'd get another one, and I would get another one. And Richard and I would sit on our bed and we just listen to all of these songs, and we were absolutely blown away. And it wasn't so much the music or the singing, it was the lyrics. It was understanding what those lyrics meant against a vocal that could sing them and music that could play it. Suddenly these words took on a whole new life. And I'll never forget, I think it's probably the second song that you sent, and I think that's the song that we're gonna showcase here today, made me cry. I started bawling my eyes out because I know you and I know where you're at in your life. And the words to these songs is just so, this particular song is so incredible. And at the same time, I was so full of joy because suddenly I saw this promise, these words come to life and people could relate to them. So I think what I'd like to do, Dad, is I'd like to jump into our very first song. It's called Sunset, and it's a song about time, faith, and finding peace. So I'm going to go ahead and play a section of this song now, and then I'd like to talk about it. Okay? All right, here goes.
I've lived life on fast forward, always finding time to play. No straight and narrow for this guy, just living for today. Never thought about the future, never dwelt upon the past. I closed my eyes to what could be and how long the ride would last. Suddenly I'm older and it seems like I've lost my way. Suddenly I'm colder and hearing myself say, will the sun rise tomorrow like it did today? Will God reach out and touch me and show me the way? Will I feel the wind on my face? Will I find the right words to say? Will I lift my eyes to clear blue skies? Will I stand on Mother Earth? Will I breathe a breath of clear, cool air? Will I quench my thirst? Or will my time in this place end without time left to pray or speak the truth to say, I love you?
I didn't think I was going to cry, but you got me.
Well,
So, whew, this is what I'm talking about. You put your incredible words to music, and they just cut right through. So, just give me a second here. Sorry, Dad. Wow. Okay, first question. When did you write this song?
this is actually one of the later songs. I never thought of life in terms of finality like most people. You don't think about until I turned 70. That was almost 10 years ago. At that stage in my life, I had cancer. I came down with cancer. I was blessed. I met a lot of people from 3, 4 years old and up that were facing the disease. I'll never forget my first radiation treatment. When I went in and sat waiting for them to call me, and I'm feeling awful bad for myself. I'm holding Mom's hand in the waiting room and looking around at all of these people and thinking, well, this might be the last walk. And the doors swing open and this little girl comes running through the door and from the treatment side, and she runs and jumps on the lap of the couple that was sitting in front of us. And I'm saying to myself, here's this little girl who has a terrible, terrible cancer. And she's smiling and talking with her parents, and I'm here worried about myself, and I'm 70 years old and I've had a good life. This was proton therapy. It was new. It saved her life. It took care of my cancer. But I started thinking back then, About 5 years later, when I was 75, I had a serious heart issue and had open heart surgery. It was actually then that I started writing this song. I was in the hospital, in bed 3 or 4 days after the surgery. And, when you're having them put that mask over your face and you're not sure you're going to come out, and you never thought like that before, you start to think a little bit more. Your whole life changes. You always loved everybody. You always have enjoyed life. But at that point in my life, everything changed. My vision changed. The color of everything changed. The smells changed. The fact that I could walk out of there and have some more time with everybody meant so much. It was at a time, and it is at a time of my life where I'm watching friends die monthly. And some of them don't have any time to share. Not a chance to say even goodbye to anybody. At 51, I lost my best friend from Brockton that I grew up with in the same house, brain aneurysm. So you don't know. And as you get older and you realize something's going to take you in the next few years, you don't know whether you have a minute, a day, or an hour, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what this song did, I went back over my life, and it really is my life. Growing up, early years, not really worrying about anything, pretty well doing what I wanted to do. Blessed with a wife that allowed me to do that. Blessed with a wife that kept us all in line. We went through a lot of wooden spoons, as your sister and you and your brother would attest, because that was her weapon of choice. But thank God that
She could never catch us.
I know, but she broke them always over the butcher block or something.
Yes,
else.
she
It
did.
would get her real mad, including me. She would break a wooden spoon. God bless her. So, I mean, this song really comes from the heart.
Yeah.
I've always believed in a creator. I've always believed in a God. And I always believed that he's there for you when you need him the most. And those words are true. I don't know whether I think you know this. And we're sharing ourselves on this for a reason. I'm old school. My parents were old school. My dad never in his life told me he loved me. The day he died, I sat with him on his bed and I said, "I love you, Dad." And he said, "I love you too, Bob." Only time ever, but he got the chance to say it, and it meant everything to me. And so those words and that timing means a lot to me, and that's how it got into that song. So,
Yeah.
By the way, anybody that knows me and hears this music knows that it's my music.
Of course
It's not
it is.
coming from the computer. Because these things do relate to real life situations, and there are people that remember them and have heard them before, and they just haven't gone through this media before.
Yeah, I mean, what strikes me about the song, obviously, is the chorus. Will the sun rise tomorrow like it did today? I mean, that's almost haunting. And I'll wake up in the morning and that verse will still be going on in my head. And the next verse, will God show me the way? And I'm 55 years old and I have moments like that. When is this going to end? And, but to hear it come from you makes me sad because you're my dad and I don't ever want to lose you. But I also understand that nobody's getting any younger. And so that was why I wanted to highlight this song, because you are at that stage in your life and you have had those health conflicts that have made you confront your mortality. And God bless, you're still here. And you have so much to share and so much to offer. And this is just one of probably over 300 that you have that we might be sharing, over the course of
It's
our
quite
time.
a few of them. There are, I think, as of this morning, there are 70 published on Suno.
Wow.
The reason they went up as fast, you related that earlier, is because they were all sitting here. I was able to upload those, spend a day with each of them on the technology, and have a product that I was really proud of for the most part. I'm going to slow down a little bit now because you can just overwhelm everybody, and it doesn't make any sense to do that. But
No.
at least we have a path, and we have you interested, Michael, your brother, and Michelle, your older sister.
Because this is not just your thing, it's a family thing. I think
Yeah,
everybody who knows you and loves you wants to see your words get out there. So you have actually been thinking about maybe putting an album together. You've been tossing around this album title called War Babies, and you really feel strongly that your words are about your generation. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and what you would hope to see with us getting your words and your music out there?
yeah, and I think this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this with you right now. Obviously, the songs, the initial songs that I started to play with here are songs about life and aging. My songs come from the heart and relate to honesty. Songs need to resonate with people. People need to understand what the words mean, and they put themselves in the song. And I feel that as much as I've lived just a wonderful, broad life and have done so many things in so many directions, and I'm able to express them in words, I just think that a lot of my words will resonate with a lot of people. I literally have about 200 friends that I sent a few of these songs to early on when we got the first ones done about 2 months ago now, I guess, and just said, I want the truth. And I got stuff back from everybody saying, wow, you made me cry. Wow, you made me bring back a memory. I mean, it's just so, it made me feel like we're going in the right direction. So
Good.
that's why we're trying to do this.
So, Dad, this was an absolute pleasure. If people wanted to find you outside of our YouTube channel, where can they find you? Are you on social media now?
Well, we're just starting. The best place today to get me would be my Facebook page, Bob Bagdon.
Now, is that a private page or a public page?
That's a public page. I put that up, and I guess I don't even know how that works. I have the Bob Bagdon with the heading, and you can see right away that it's about songs. I started this just a week or so ago, and I think we had 30 friends that on the Facebook side, and today there's 130. It's really, and I'm getting more and more requests every day.
Wow,
so
that's exciting.
It's over 100.
So it's Bob Bagdon at Facebook, and then we just started an Instagram page for you called
Right.
Pops 80 Songs.
Yeah.
And we have our YouTube channel here, The Songs My Father Wrote. And then I'm going to be starting an Instagram page called The Songs My Father Wrote. And then I have my personal Facebook page too. But in the links below, I guess this is the time that I tell everybody, if you're interested in following our journey together, please hit the subscribe button, and you can find all the links to Bob's social media channels below this in our intro. And we hope to see you on our next podcast episode. So, Dad, put your thinking cap on. I've got some ideas for the next song, but I can't wait to see what you think.
There's quite a few songs in Facebook, and also Suno itself. I think you can
Yes.
get right into Suno and go right into my catalog.
Yep.
The War Babies, just to close that.
Yes,
there's
I'm sorry.
18 or 20 songs that are really focused on my generation, our generation, and it's a little bit too many for one series. I still call them an album, but I think we'll get 8 or 10 together in one release, and 8 or 10 in another release. And I'm not even sure how we release them electronically. This isn't a money-making venture.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say that. The most important thing here is the message. I will tell you, Sunset has been sent to Nashville, to a producer in Nashville, and if they like it, they'll
find the right artist.
They'll find the right person for it. This is a fellow that we met at the Songwriters Festival, and hopefully, he'll see some value in it. So.
All right. Well, Dad, I love you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. And
all right. Love you too.
Okay.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
I've lived life on fast forward, always finding time to play. No straight and narrow for this guy, just living for today. Never thought about the future, never dwelt upon the past. I closed my eyes to what could be and how long the ride would last. Suddenly I'm older and it seems like I've lost my way. Suddenly I'm colder and hearing myself say, will the sun rise tomorrow like it did today? Will God reach out and touch me and show me the way? Will I feel the wind on my face? Will I find the right words to say? Will I lift my eyes to clear blue skies? Will I stand on Mother Earth? Will I breathe a breath of clear, cool air? Will I quench my thirst? Or will my time in this place end without time left to pray or speak the truth to say, I love you? Will the sun rise tomorrow like it did today? Will I feel the wind on my face? Will I find the right words to say? Will I lift my eyes to clear blue skies? Will I stand on Mother Earth? Will I breathe a breath of clear, cool air? Will I quench my thirst? Or will my time in this place end without time left to pray or speak the truth and say, I love you? Will the sun rise tomorrow like it did today? Will God reach out and touch me and show me